Look, it just feels like an asshole's birthday party. And my thing from the very first meeting was that it shouldn't feel like an asshole's birthday party. Yeah.
Just to say, I'm only here because I heard this was going to be a 5-dimensional catastrophe and I wanted to watch you crash and burn.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, the treehouse is cool, and you're not...
Okay, spoilers. Also, sorry for the cold if it makes this hard to listen to. Anyway, this installment, entitled Too Much Birthday, in addition to being the title of a children's book from 1986, is also quite biblical. Succession's usual themes are present, but amplified so loudly this time they're like 10 out of 10 that it's impossible to miss the message. It's all that New Testament stuff. What will it profit a man if he gains the world but loses his own soul? And of course, everything is larger than life. One thing in particular captures the spirit of all this: Logan's birthday card. The message, cash out and fuck off, replacing the traditional greeting, accompanied by a proposal to buy out Kendall's shares in the company for about $2 billion. Well, it's a nice little gift, but it's also a hurtful reminder that Kendall's attempt to take control of the company from Logan has been averted, and Logan has escaped yet again. No real consequences to the cruises scandal.
Going to be a number.
Just a number?
Nothing custodial for anyone.
No prison.
Nuh-uh. Nope.
Kendall selling his shares in the holding company is of course the easy way out, but Kendall does not have an affinity for doing anything in a small way. An intimate party? Out of the question. Everything must be bigger and better. This episode is mostly about sadness in the midst of celebration. The wretched excess of this episode is truly nauseating to behold, and it goes way beyond Kendall's plan to be nailed to a cross while singing Billy Joel's 1979 hit Honesty.
You can have the love you need to live, but if you look for truthfulness, you might just as well be blind.
Tom sums up the vibe best.
Look at their faces, so fucking dour. It's festivity. People are supposed to be festive.
It seems like no one is having an especially good time at Kendall's birthday party, and it seems likely that no one in attendance has much use for him personally or cares much about him. At some point, he was pleased that his 3 siblings showed up at all, but then the truth creeps in. Upon realizing that even his own siblings only came to the party not to wish him well, but to close a business deal with Lukas Matsson, founder of GoJo, Kendall finally seems to grasp, nearly too completely, the inherent emptiness of his own life. Nothing has any value. Everyone at the party is there to witness his self-destruction through unrestrained self-aggrandizement, or perhaps they came for the probably top-shelf booze and first-rate party favors. Kendall tells the truth to Naomi.
This is so pathetic. I wish I was...
Though he substitutes the word home so as not to scare Naomi, dead would not seem out of place at the end of that sentence. Even the gift that his 2 children made for him is somehow mislaid. Nothing he really wants or needs is present at that stupid fucking party. He freaks out from the pressure and the realization that his plan has failed, that he won't spend his life in prison. It's true, but he may not be able to force Logan out of control of the company. Even a rare Swiss timepiece and an offer of a pleasant blowjob from Naomi Pierce is a disappointment to Kendall, curdled milk at some point. He's had them all and seen it all. Kendall takes out his frustrations on Naomi on what he sees as her shitty gift of a watch for a rich guy like him. Moreover, the timepiece isn't inscribed or individuated for him personally as he would prefer. Naomi is understanding of his problems and is a fucking angel to put up with all this bullshit. From the beginning, Kendall wanted to be an insider, but instead, he's somehow managed to alienate everyone. Everything, from the immersive theater which greets partygoers, representations of his mother's birth canal, absurd newspaper headlines, blown up to many times normal size, filled with humiliating stories about his siblings, his name everywhere, the VIP area strategically located in a treehouse, the tunnel of compliments, everything fails or makes him seem entirely foolish. All of it is just empty gestures compared with what he really requires, the love of his family and his father's approval, or failing that, a decisive victory for control of the company. His childhood was clearly problematic, we learn that if nothing else during this episode, and his father created a very confused child who does not now know how to comport himself as an adult.
Are they playing from the approved playlist in the main room? Because my thing was all bangers all the time. Yeah, all bangers all the time.
I think so.
Yeah?
Additionally, no one finds Kendall's casual cruelty to be funny.
Gary, you know Gary.
Yeah, I know Gary.
Okay.
Nice little posable action figure. Does he have any genitals?
The formula is clear. Wretched excess, superimposed on total insensitivity to others, is inherently depressing. Even Kendall begins to see this when he refuses to perform his song with the mini Wu-Tang Clan.
That's a fucking relief.
Kendall seems very hurt by all this. Does anyone really know the kind of pain he is in? Do they know or care that the suffering he inflicts on others is a way of demonstrating self-loathing most of all? All we seemingly witness is sabotage of existing relationships with Shiv, Roman, Connor, his ex-wife, his current girlfriend, his cousin Greg, and his employees. In one of the uglier exchanges in this rather ugly episode, Kendall clearly states what the other siblings have been thinking about cousin Greg.
You're like the world's biggest fucking parasite. You're a human tapeworm. Maybe stop feeding on your own fucking family and try sucking some blood elsewhere. Yeah?
This is not a normal reaction. This is not how you treat others unless you really are an asshole and a profoundly disturbed, depressive personality. The exchange with Greg was reminiscent of the phone call that Kendall makes to Frank Vernon near the end of the bachelor party episode of season 1.
Those girls from the art thing, I want you to put the word around. They're junkies. They're sluts. They're shooting seed capital straight into their arms. Let's sink them.
Sometimes Kendall seems to have laudable aims, but there's always something terrible underlying this, if he doesn't get his own way. Kendall desperately wants to be treated in a more genteel way by other people, but he fails to ever do this himself with others. You can't just demand genteel behavior when you yourself are a boor. In the end, Kendall calls Roman and especially Shiv out on their hypocrisy.
Did you come here to see me at all? You didn't, did you, Shiv? You like the spying, Shiv? On my daughter?
Kendall is right, of course, but the situation of betraying the family seems to be an unforgivable sin, at least in this particular family's dynamic. As to the matter of unhappiness, Tom and Shiv find themselves similarly afflicted. In the midst of the celebration, there is a certain emptiness. The episode begins, hopefully, with the announcement that probably nobody is going to jail, and Logan telling Tom that he will not forget Tom's offer to serve time, if necessary, on behalf of the family and the company. They've come a long way since the last episode of the last season, when Tom ate Logan's chicken.
What the fuck?
As in the bachelor party episode, Tom finds the party experience quite unfulfilling and not particularly festive.
Congratulations, Tom. I hear you swallowed your own load.
Yeah, I did.
So, what happened?
Normal stuff.
Specifically what, Tom?
Wait, what? No. Shiv, I thought you said...
Oh, honey, I'm kidding you.
Of course, Shiv is joking around, but perhaps Tom wanted a wife who cared whether or not he was getting sucked off by party girls at a bachelor party. In the beginning of the episode, Tom is still obsessing about which prison he might be incarcerated in. He's still looking at the pictures of all the different facilities. Even Tom's celebration of not going to jail is dysfunctionally expressed as an act of vandalism of Greg's workspace, and Greg seems shit scared of Tom. Then Tom kisses Greg on the forehead. It's probably meant in some sort of friendly or kindly way, but it comes off as supremely, nearly insanely creepy. Something is really mighty weird about this, especially for North Americans, where touching people's faces, whether man or woman, is not ever appropriate.
I haven't seen you smile in like 6 hours.
You don't have to smile to be happy. You seem much happier than me, Greg.
I feel happy. I guess it's not a finite pie. We can both be happy.
Sure. But it's supposed to be me that's happy, and it's you. How did that happen?
Tom is a simple man. He just wants to be happy. He doesn't want a three-way or a wife who's seeing Nate Safrelli on the side. He just wants Shiv to care for him and about him. That he might end up in prison should deeply disturb and distress Shiv to the point of being paralyzed. Instead, she is seemingly disinterested in the topic. Learning that he is not going to prison is an empty feeling because it exposed a side of Shiv that he wasn't particularly happy to know about in the first place. Even Roman saw this and confronts Shiv about it.
And here's to Tom.
I saw you, I saw you sipping Dad's champagne, looking like you were sucking a lemon.
I don't drink on work days because I have self-control.
Okay, that's what that is. Okay, I thought maybe you were thinking about all the dick you were gonna ride when he was inside.
Instead of Tom's freedom, Shiv's main concern in this episode is the fact that Roman and Logan are getting together to buy Kendall out of the holding company, and that she was not consulted. Shiv is so upset that she gets loaded and freaks out on the dance floor, which Roman refers to as a pathetic cry for help. As a highlight to the evening, Shiv finds out something else she's been cut out of the loop on, which is that Iverson and Sophie are being spied on by Logan and Roman. Comfry and Greg are an interesting case study in this episode. Sometimes relationships result from adversity and stress. It seems that Comfry needs to confide in someone, and Greg is the guy. She's been tasked with pounding on Greg in the media to drag his name through the mud at Kendall's behest, as she puts it, to brief the press against Greg. But she seemingly likes him as well, or at least feels sorry for Greg.
And she's out of your league, bro.
Well, I mean, she's way out of your league, man. I mean, it's like a haunted scarecrow asking out Jackie Onassis. It's a suicide mission.
Even though both Tom and Kendall use identical language to warn Greg off pursuing Comfry, who probably is far out of his league, but the question here that's salient is, does she think that? That's really the question, not at all what Kendall and Tom think. They imagine hierarchies that may not exist in the real world. In the end, some women might actually like a freakishly tall, gangly man. They both share something really important in common now. Comfry can now disclose to Greg the insane amount of bullshit that she has had to endure while working for Kendall Roy. Greg can do similarly by talking about all the work he's done with Tom, and also what it was like to work for Kendall and Logan, and all the other things that go on within the Roy family, and all the stories are either unbelievable or funny or both.
Ken had me try to call Springsteen to rescue the vibe, and then that got countermanded, and now I'm working on a jetpack for him to leave through the retractable ceiling.
The only thing more absurd than serving canapes out of a 1980s He-Man lunchbox is acquiring those self-same lunchboxes and then not using them, and then requiring someone else to attempt to resell them on eBay. Greg engages in an odd, clever variation of the cock-block maneuver, only in reverse. He makes it seem as though Kendall is trying to control the men Comfry sees by arguing that there should be no mixing of church and state. Comfry obviously feels that she should be permitted to do whatever she wishes, and that her social life is none of Kendall's fucking business. Greg makes Kendall seem even creepier than normal by revealing that Kendall has a particular political take on Comfrey's dating life, that he's not agnostic on the matter of Comfry and Greg as one might think. Also, Greg strategically leaves out Tom and Kendall's conclusion that Comfry is out of his league. This would be unhelpful to his position, so he omits this bit of information. Greg is learning how to negotiate within the Roy family. He asks Comfry out in any event, thereby making Kendall look the fool. Thus, Comfrey's attentions become an act of defiance against Kendall. It's a clever ploy in a way, but it also shows Greg as being very manipulative, and certainly this would not really be the basis of a healthy reciprocal relationship. Having to stoop to the reverse cock block does not bode well for any relationship. Connor's coat becomes a strangely accurate metaphor for Kendall's total inability to convince anybody of anything. For example, the DOJ of his father's malfeasance, his siblings to side with him over Logan, even in season 1, his ex-wife to think about getting back together with him. Simply put, he's not able to get anybody to go along with what he wants. To Kendall's consternation, Connor remains coated. This becomes a huge issue for Kendall insofar as he didn't get what he wanted for his birthday. Neither love from his siblings, nor respect of his father, nor control of the company, nor even being able to get Connor to remove his damn coat. Kendall believes that the drab coat is bringing everyone at the party down. He thinks it's an instant buzzkill.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's with the coat? You're not staying? Or?
It's a coat. I like it.
It's nothing. But can we get Connor to lose his coat?
Sure.
Yeah, it's nothing. He's souring the vibe.
A complimentary cashmere sweater. We're handing that to prestige guests.
I have my coat. I'm fine.
Take your coat off. Take your fucking coat off.
That's enough. That's enough.
Take your fucking coat off!
The thought does occur, however, that if Kendall wanted anything from Connor, putting up the headline about Connor shitting his sleeping bag years before was probably not the way to achieve it. On the other hand, as Roman points out, this is the only one of the 3 other headlines that we see which is actually rooted in fact, and it is, of course, by far the funniest one. The last shot of the episode, of Kendall wrapped up in his A-Team comforter, is truly disturbing. Naomi Pierce watches over Kendall, perhaps afraid that he will jump if she wasn't there. Kendall laments all the relationships he has destroyed and how he's been treated. Roman's casual cruelty, his sister's letter from a previous episode, his father's spying on his children, his wife always incredulous over his chances of succeeding at what he's doing, his siblings not ever really being there for him. All Naomi can do is hold Kendall close as a woman might her young child after a traumatic experience in a schoolyard. Kendall is incredibly vulnerable at that moment. It truly was too much birthday. I hope you found this video enlightening. Please feel free to like and subscribe.
All right, I gotta circulate. We can check in later.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Great.
It's a great night. I'm happy you're here. Fucking best birthday ever. Okay. Later.
You're so full of grace.
What's that?
I think he said you're full of grace.
That's a weird thing to say. Being sarcastic?
I guess I do have one question, though.
Yeah, hit me up.
When will your father die?
When will my father die?
Yeah.